Hey guys, how you doing? First of all, we want to apologize on behalf of Steve Menzie. He had something to attend to. I know that he was supposed to be scheduled here. We're going to see if we can have him here tomorrow instead, as we do our wrap up to the show, and for him to join us and kind of give his insights on how the expo's been over these last few days. So once again, he apologizes, but hopefully we can get him in tomorrow. But I'm very happy to introduce Eli here from North of the Border Cards, and I guess I really want to talk to you about you. It's just, first of all, like I'm a fan in the sense of your content that you've been putting out on Instagram. And today we're just talking about the whole thing of social media and online content and kind of the effects of it here in the collectibles and sports card industry. Your content, because first of all, that's like in terms of your insights and the depth of your knowledge of cards in general, and I see some of the stuff that you collect and bought. I was like, wow. You know what I mean? I'm learning so many things from you, and just like I said, I'm shocked that like you're so young, but yet you know so much, and but you also present it in a way that if everyone can understand. You don't have to be like an elite or collector to kind of take in the information that you provide. So first of all, I just want to say that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah.
And I guess you wanted to kind of share with the audience kind of like how did this kind of came to be, and now you have such a big following and a lot of people coming to you. It's like I would definitely enjoy your content and everything. So if you want to share with everyone.
Yeah, so I've always collected cards. Even when I was at like my brother's hockey tournaments, there was always a hockey card guy there. I was always just buying and selling. And I kind of got out of it as I was kind of in middle school and started high school. And then just before COVID, I received a collection, and I went to my local store where I actually work now, JPL Sports Cards in Burlington. And I saw all the cards that he had there, and I actually ended up selling a few. And from there, I just kind of fell in love with just the cool cards that you can find now, and whether it's basketball, baseball, football. And I really started my Instagram just to show that people can learn, and there's so much to this hobby. You can do so much. You can invest in so many different things. And I feel like when I started, I didn't always have that. I didn't have someone that I could follow and say, this is what to do, this is what not to do. And I lost money in some things. I made bad investments because I thought those were good, but I didn't really have anybody telling me who had been in it for a while, like what to do and what not to do. So that's pretty much why I started it, yeah.
It's I like that, because sometimes within this industry, we kind of take it for granted with the lingo and the culture, and a lot of people who are new to the hobby, sometimes it's just very simple questions, and we kind of like, oh, you don't know what this means? Like, what's a comp?
Yeah.
Which grading companies I should go with, and sometimes we need that educational piece just to make newer collectors to like feel welcome, that they're not kind of looked down upon for not knowing what this is, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at it in terms of social media and online content. We're definitely seeing a huge bloom of influencers, specifically in the sports card industry, and also I guess we can look at all collectibles right now. Like, as a TCG guy myself too, like you're seeing a lot of people getting TCGs and more influencers making content for it. So would you say kind of right now, like, do you feel like it's a necessity now to kind of be within the business of collectibles, and especially in sports cards, that with social media and online content is a huge piece that is in order for kind of for you to thrive on this?
Yeah, so I think social media is a huge thing when it comes to cards. There's so many different influencers, especially in the US, that have a bunch of different niches. There's so many different kinds of investors, collectors, and I think for me, when I can share stories that I've learned and different stuff, like I did a video on the T206 set and how the story of those cards and how every card has a story, and that's why I also like vintage, because with cards, it's just infinite how many different cards you can get, whether that's TCG, sports cards. The collectible space as a whole, it's so diverse, and I think so many people will enjoy it. And I think by me influencing people in Canada through my Instagram, I'm getting more and more people who I know that are like, hey, this is pretty cool, because it's so diverse, and anybody who likes anything can find anything at these shows. There's just so much different stuff, every different team, every player. There's Disney stuff, there's Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, there's all kinds of stuff. So I think just the hobby's so diverse, and by me having this Instagram, it just allows me to really share what I'm passionate about, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But I just like sharing how every card is a story, and yeah, just pretty much what I love about the hobby and that. Yeah.
Awesome. In terms of content, though, we've definitely seen like different people who are in the space, especially in the sports card stuff. They all kind of have their take of how they want to do their content, and what other things do you see kind of right now that kind of explaining to other people? What are the different types of content that you're seeing that people are doing within sharing about the industry?
Yeah, so from what I've seen, there's people that are strictly investors. There are people that are diehard collectors, and there's different platforms that all these people are on: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all those things. And I'm mainly Instagram and YouTube, but there seems to be a large, like I said, if there's a diverse amount of cards, there's going to be a diverse amount of influencers. So every influencer is different, and I've seen, some that are strictly investing in cards that just want to go to shows and make money. And I think, I've told this to you, a hobby thrives off of having collectors and investors. And that's why I think the social media is good too, because there's collector influencers and there's investor YouTubers. So people can really find, like, on Instagram, stuff that they want, and those influencers are like with their niche and what they want. And I think that's why social media is such an important thing, because it attracts people to this hobby, and this hobby is so much fun. And if you look around this show, it's packed, and there's so many people here, from can barely walk to are, like, with all due respect, really old.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun.
I was sharing this with Jeremy yesterday when we did our interview. It's like, that's one thing that I found in terms of a lot of social media content, that is, I do sense there is an imbalance, because you said you need two groups, but to me, I find there's an imbalance of too much that it's fixated on the if you want to call it the money side of things, and kind of the joy of the hobby is more lost. But I guess that kind of brings more attention, just because people want to find out, hey, how can I make money?
Yeah.
Right? But I love the stories, like you said, and the history of the cards, of why do people collect these certain things, and sometimes it's not attached to a price tag. You know, it has its own significance and its own meaning to that person. So I gravitate to just the love of the hobby, or the love of the card, because to me that is the more the essence of why this hobby even exists, right?
For sure.
And to not over trivialize of investment stuff, but I guess so I do see like a imbalance of that, of what's out there.
Yeah, and I think so too. During COVID, people weren't working, people wanted to find a way to make a quick buck, and I think sports cards was an opportunity, because the market went crazy during COVID. And I think now those people that were just in it for the money, there's more than there were before, but it's starting slowly to come back to a hobby, like a balance.
Right.
Because there's always been investors in sports cards. During COVID, that number went crazy high.
Right.
And I think those people that just wanted a quick buck are gone, or they're not gone, but they're slowly moving out, and the true collectors, people that truly love the hobby, are the ones that are still around. And I'll admit, during COVID, some of the cards I did invest in, but I have a personal collection of Jonas Valanciunas and Sabonis that I collect. I've picked up most of my cards that I bought this weekend were all collectible, like my PC cards, that I'm not going to sell anytime soon, that I'm going to cherish, I'm going to look at. And I think I'm hearing a lot of that about people buying cards that they weren't able to afford during COVID, because I made a video on this, and if you look at the prices now from the prices of COVID, the prices now are immensely lower. And now is the time, if you want to see, if you got in during COVID and you saw, hey, I really want to buy that LeBron James Topps Chrome Rookie, now is the time. It is like less than half of the price that it was. I think it's like almost a tenth of the price that it was during the peak of COVID. And I think those investors kind of got scared by the market drop. And those collectors were like, hey, this is really fun. So I think this is a very healthy expo. There's people here that want to collect what they want. They're picking up pieces that they've never been able to pick up because the prices have been so high. And it's just, I think the hobby's it's starting to get to a place where it's balanced between investors and collectors.
And I think this show, especially today, is indicative of that, right? Yes, a lot of prices have dropped on certain cards, and yes, we might just talk about the the economic environment that we are now, but today was packed silly here at the
crazy.
show.
It was so busy.
Right, the lineup even going to Hall 4 was like, it took me 15 minutes just to get through that massive lineup to get there. So there's the hobby and the community is not dying. You know what I mean? It's definitely thriving. There's a lot of people here that are looking to buy and trade and sell. Like, there's a lot of things that are still happening. Like, it's right. It's like, yes, the pricing might not be the same it was 2-3 years ago, but I see the collecting community is very alive and well. It's still thriving. And it's like you said, now it's like those things that they couldn't acquire before, now they can.
Yeah.
And I think it's like people, that the people panic sell, people kind of like, oh, it's plummeting, I'm getting out. But, people can call it that, but I think it's the correction, correct the price corrections and everything now, that things that shouldn't have been as elevated, now it's back down to earth. And I think there's a certain type of, I think it's just the market being more realistic
For
now
sure.
with things.
And everything was inflated during COVID, and I think this expo, I've seen a lot of posts just on the Sports Expo Instagram, and it's like, if you don't have an Instagram for cards, it's a great way to not only show your PC cards, say this is like what I PC, and to get there's a real community on this. People message me all the time. I message them like, hey, what do you think of this? How do you see the hobby changing?
Right.
What do you see the hobby in 2 years? And it's just a community where you can learn and you can make friends on there. You can do collabs with people.
That's right.
You can really fall in love with this hobby and just the true essence and the true diversity of this hobby, because like I've said before, it's so diverse and there's so much different stuff.
Yeah. So how would you say, like, when a person were to want to do exactly what you were talking about, it's like, how would I start getting involved in, like, which platforms I should use? Because a lot of people, I find that technology can be daunting for certain people.
Yeah.
So, but what would you kind of say to kind of give them that encouragement of, hey, try this out? What would you kind of, like, people who are just kind of getting into it, but has the passion as you do, but just don't know how to go about it?
Yeah. So my go-to app is Instagram. There's a lot of people at the show who I know from Instagram. It's a pretty easy app to use. You just create your name, create your username, and then you just click post, and you can post your cards you're picking up. You can post questions. Say, you can DM people. You can easily see a post, and you can easily click on their account, press message, and you guys can engage in a full conversation, and they can teach you about it. And that's one thing too, is I'm always reading my DMs on Instagram, because I just love teaching people about it. Because like I said, I didn't have that person. So if more people have that and make fewer mistakes investing, they're going to stay in the hobby. It's going to be a healthy hobby. And if people see the passion that I show and that all these other influencers show, they're going to show that this is a really passionate hobby, and the people in it are super passionate, and they're just going to fall in love with it.
Awesome. So thank you once again for being here.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate, like, your insights, and you're really just, like, I don't, like, with your age, as I said, I'm very appreciative of the wisdom that you provide, and just kind of the information. And hopefully you find this helpful as well too, because once again, it's a lot of this is just driven by the passion of it, right? And once again, it's a lost art, but hopefully this is something that comes back, and we could all kind of sit down like this and chat, and talk cardboard. You know what I mean?
And this is the fun part of the hobby, just talking about it. And if anybody is watching this and wants to DM me questions, North of the Border Cards on Instagram, DM me. I'm busy today, but I try to respond to all those messages, so I'll help you guys out with what you want. And thanks for having me.
Oh, definitely appreciate it. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be back at 6 o'clock. We're going to talk about gaming. All right, talk to you soon. All right, bye now.